Well, you wild culinary enthusiasts out there, your two favorite sous chefs are back at it tonight. I am sous chef Logan Myers. That's my beautiful good mate over there.
And I'm Uncle Henry. What is going on, Chef? The finale is finally here for this, Chicago masterpiece of television here. We had Shameless, which showed a lot of Chicago. And then it seemed like right after that, Jeremy Allen White went to this other show and we, fell in love with it, as did everybody that watched the first season of The Bear. And here we are, at the end, sadly, bittersweetly, but we're going to be talking about these last 8 episodes of the Christopher Storer created show on FX. You can watch it on Hulu. It's the end for all these chefs, and it's as usual, it's chaotic, anxiety ridden. Is it going to work out? Are they going to be able to save this restaurant or not? It all takes place, well, besides the very end, but most of the episodes take place in one night, and it's a rainy, stormy night in Chicago. We'll get right into that next. What are we reviewing, Logan?
The bear. Yes, chef. Heard, chef.
Look at you all, and I love you so much.
This is how we keep this place alive. This is the bear.
One of our favorite TV shows we've been watching since it dropped. First season. It's always a binge-worthy show. We watch it in a day or two, usually 30, 45 minutes an episode. And here we are to the final season. Very excited and sad because how much I love this show, how it embodies the culture, the people, everything, the vibe of Chicago. Captures that perfectly in this series. With Carmy Berzato, of course, Jeremy Allen White playing the main character in this, and the incredible supporting cast ensemble here. Each season, these characters have these arcs, incredible arcs, and new characters that show up along the way. You get time to spend with them and learn about them. So everybody is very important in this, very interesting, and just well acted across the board. But remember from the last season 4, the ending was, Carmy walking away saying, I'm done with the bear. I'm done with this life. Set up in season 5, there's a lot going on there, right? A lot of tension between, the people that work at the bear, his uncle and everybody else, family that's all involved with this restaurant. They're all pretty upset with Carmy kind of taking the back seat. And Sydney and Richie, cousin, really step up this season right from the get-go. With the really interesting kind of opening. You were talking about storms, it was raining so much and flooding, and it destroys a restaurant. So it's pure chaos from the get-go of this season. The restaurant getting destroyed. Not sure what's going to happen with Carmy, the restaurant. They got to serve their customers.
The pipes burst,
Yep.
all chaos ensues. Do they have enough food? Is anybody going to show up?
Right.
Dealing with all this. And then on the backdrop, like you mentioned, Carmy dealing with this crisis. He's going to quit. He hasn't told everybody yet. Sydney knows. Everything coming to a head here. Everybody's arcs, come in full circle. And, a character that we've loved since the first time we saw him on screen, Uncle Richie. His character arc was my favorite. I thought he changed the most from that first episode all the way into the end, getting to know him. My favorite character from the show, even more than Carmy, so kudos to Eben. Actor's phenomenal. I loved his, scenes obviously with Jeremy Allen White as Carmy, and loved his scenes with John Bernthal. Just seeing him work with those two and with this whole supporting cast, like you mentioned, everybody gets their time to shine. It's so impressive. We hadn't heard of a lot of the cast here, first time acting, some real chefs in here. Just how well the cast gelled together. You felt that from the get-go on this show. And yeah, season 5, sees everything come down to the wire. His uncle, played by Oliver Platt, just wondering how are we going to do this? There's no way we can keep this going, and it's just a journey it takes you on over these batch episodes. A little bit of a slow burn, but you're the tension, like we mentioned, is ratcheted up from the get-go. It's a night in the life of all these characters, and it's how everything wraps up in the show. And by those batch of last 3 or 4 episodes, really when everything comes together, that my favorite episodes were the last few episodes of this season. Really ties everything into a beautiful little, serves it up as this beautiful looking dish, much like the chefs were serving to their customers in that night at the restaurant. Very cool scenes how they, especially that episode number 7 where they kind of worked in harmony. It was like conducting a symphony almost, putting the timer on, having to prepare everything, things going wrong, having to think on the fly, what were they going to serve these people? How were they going to fit everybody in there? It's just like beautiful storytelling and cinematography and everything coming together.
Orchestrates. And that's pretty much what it
Yeah.
was. Like that episode was one of the best. As you said, the last three are really the best of the season. They really kick it up a notch. What they have to pull off with limited staff and it has to be so precise. Each minute matters. Each second matters. They had like three different services they did, like dinner services that like hour and a half a piece. So they had to get the people in, clean up, get out get them out the door, and the next group of people come in. Limited amount of space. They had to pull out other tables. They had to be really creative, get stuff out of the basement. I'm like, it was incredible how they shot that. It was like
Yeah.
masterclass like episode. The last three were just
Yeah.
incredible, but that one in particular, that service and what they were able to accomplish with not as many people. They're missing a lot of people in the front of the house and
Mhm.
servers and things like that. But Richie, yeah, Evan Moss-Bachrach, yeah, he's an amazing actor. He really shines, really the best, like you said, character. I like how his character goes out, what happens to him, but he really changes a lot throughout the duration of the 5 seasons. Kind of more the bumbling idiot uncle in the beginning. Now he's very professional, wears suits a lot. He cares, working on his mental health, being a great dad, just dealing with a lot. He's really shines, especially at the end of this. And I was so happy for him when this ended. And Carmy, Jeremy Allen White being one of my favorite actors, I thought he was incredible too. He always is every season.
Mhm. Yeah.
Didn't really care what they did with this character at the very end. I thought that was a little odd for me.
Yeah.
It's only a minor nitpick. But everybody else, was incredible. Sydney is really shined in this season too. She was incredible, taking the charge, taking
Yeah.
on the kitchen, and building and creating these beautiful dishes as her like artwork. Like it was so incredible
Hmm.
what she accomplished, from the first season up to this and taking it to the next chapter, I guess. And everybody else, like Marcus and Tina and everybody, Neil, like just the entire
Hmm.
cast is incredible. But I will say that one thing that bothered me, it always wins what best comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Like this
ridiculous.
has a lot of funny parts, but this is not comedy, this is drama.
No,
But
not
but
even
of course
close.
but of course, Neil and all those guys are hilarious. Uncle Jimmy, Oliver Platt, you're talking about, we are
Yeah.
joking about him, been acting for a long time. He's incredible as the uncle. And this kind
Yeah,
of
he's great.
bringing the money together for the restaurant, but he's incredible. Bonnie Hunt shows up in this. There's a lot of people, Jamie Lee Curtis, Bob
Hmm.
Odenkirk, all the
Yeah.
people from the other season, Josh Hartnett show up in this. It's just really great 8 episode run, great ending to this. Just didn't care what they did with the Carmi character. Everybody else's beautiful arcs, beautiful send offs, and I had a marvelous time with this. So that being said, I'm gonna give this the final season of The Bears, season 5, currently streaming. I give it a 4.5 out of 5. Cousin half pieces.
It's the end of an era here, the end of another great show that we're all lucky enough to be able to watch with these insanely talented filmmakers and, writers and actors here. Yeah, and I agree with you. The only thing I really wasn't happy about with was what they did with Carmi's character at the end. It just seemed out of place, kind of out of left field. Like, why? I didn't understand that. But I did like his conversation with Bonnie Hunt. And that's what it was about. It was about those moments where he like pours his soul out. That's where he really earns, all the recognition that he deserves and everything. And just seeing these characters, like, yeah, like you mentioned, all the minor characters, Tina, Sydney, just seeing her and Carmi together at the end after she is able to pull that off in that episode and seeing them, open up to each other. And you can see just how much it means to both of them, for what happens in that. Those are really great moments, and all the characters they had their great moments. You know, the Fack, the the Fack brothers, and everybody. You know, just contributed to this series and made it such a joy to watch. You know, even if it was, tension, the tension was thick in all these episodes. It always made you kind of have anxiety. But just how everything tied together beautifully. Love that. One thing I thought was missing from this season, and I get it because it was all within one night, but something I was missing was, music. We got a lot of music, like songs from bands that maybe you weren't too familiar with. It'd be a lot of, drops at the beginning of episodes and stuff. So I kind of missed some of that, like we had the Eddie Vedder cover, a couple, stuff like that, and seeing like actually like out in the city, the characters interacting. I missed a little bit of that, but I get it, it's because it was all within one night. So, but moments like that on the Bear are something I'm going to miss too, and little something that was lacking in this. Other than that, I thought this season was really fantastic. You know, how everything turned out for these characters. I'm going to miss this batch of characters, especially Uncle Richie there. Man, just the way they tied up that story was beautiful. And seeing the family together, like you mentioned at the end, Jamie Lee Curtis here, she was phenomenal as a mom. You can tell all these actors really cared about each other, and it showed through in their performances and screen.
Forgot to bring up Abby Elliott.
Yeah,
Plays
yeah,
Sugar, the sister. She was incredible this season with her goofy husband.
yeah,
Will
yeah,
Poulter,
yeah.
um,
Of
from
course.
from Copenhagen, working alongside Marcus. A little bit of tension there this season. Marcus is on another level, like making desserts now, like freaking Michelin star.
Yeah, bringing in his father too. That was really
Yeah,
cool.
his
Yeah,
father. Marcus is always great too. But yeah, I always
yeah,
love Will Poulter. He was really, really fantastic. I like what happens to his character, what that could set up for other characters in the future too. I thought that was there's so many people in this, right? John Mulaney, the
John
scene with
Mulaney, seeing him back. Yeah,
yeah, he
some
was
local Chicago celebrities showing up. Um, Tom Skilling, the
Tom
weatherman. I
Scully.
thought that
Yeah,
was cool. He did a good job. He seemed natural being a
yeah,
customer there at the restaurant. I liked how the guy was supposed to be a wine connoisseur, and he asked for that specific wine, and they brought it to him. He's like, "Oh, this is," he was able to play it off.
yeah,
Yeah, with the wine situation there. So many small moments, just all the family stuff. It's like really deep and meaningful in this show.
yeah. Going back to the music, that was one thing that I didn't love this season. Was yeah, first few episodes. There's like a lot of it reminded me of like Reznor and Atticus, kind of like in the kitchen. I'm
Yeah,
like it's kind of
yeah,
I don't know, kind of an odd choice. I didn't feel like that music worked with that, those particular scenes. And like you were saying, the Eddie Vedder, save it for later. They're going
yeah,
around Chicago, like the working class early in the
yeah.
morning. I thought that really captured it, in that Bear episode. But this didn't really capture that with the music. I thought that was a little like, kind of
Right.
questionable choices, but just, again, minor nitpick.
Yeah, there's so much to love about this show. I will say for me, my favorite season is going to be the first one,
Yeah,
obviously. I thought season two was pretty solid too, and it fell off a little bit. It felt like some of these actors were, started getting other work and maybe took some of the focus off of the show. I think, for me in this last season, kind of looked like Carmi was maybe gone filming something a while. They had to fill in with these other characters some. It felt like
yeah,
he was kind of a background here, and
yeah,
some of I just think these actors are so good. They're started getting movie roles and stuff, and maybe that's why they had to wrap the show up in five. I feel like maybe this could have been fleshed out a little longer. Maybe there was more here, but it felt like, our talent's getting, talented. We can't keep them anymore. We're gonna have to kind of wrap things up. Maybe that had something to do with how Carmi's character ended
yeah.
up, questionable. Like, I don't know. It was a little strange. He never talked about architecture, that I could ever remember. So it was just like,
No,
why? Yeah.
he never did. I would
No,
remember that.
no.
I totally thought it was going a different direction with that conversation, which again, what you're saying, Jeremy Allen White, every season at the end, he has just like long, bunch like dialogue, like 5, 10 minutes of him just talking, and they do the final episode, and it's just like, oh, it was something
Yeah.
completely different. Out of left
Right.
field. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's kind of an odd choice, but he's always incredible. Yeah, and he's getting too big. So
Yeah.
is Evan. He's in Fantastic
Yeah.
Fours and be probably in the Avengers movies, Secret Wars and all that. So yeah, they're blowing up. I've seen Sydney and some other stuff. Of course, the rest of the cast are in a bunch of different things. So yeah, could be. Yeah, but I feel like Carmi definitely took more of a back seat this season, and it shows. I thought he was
Yeah.
going to get
That's,
locked in the freezer again too.
I know. That was funny, that little moment at the end there. Him and
Yeah,
Richie.
I'm like, no, not again.
uh, just sets the anxiety in motion once again. So, what do you think about a possibility of maybe like some spin-offs, like seeing these characters somewhere down the line? Do you think that would be a possibility?
I would love that. I would love to see Will Poulter, Marcus, and Copenhagen like their whole new life there and making desserts. Yeah, I would love to see that. Tina, Sydney, I think that'd be great.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I really would like to see where these characters are at, like, 10, 20 years down the line. That'd be interesting. Really interesting. And I could see Christopher Storer revisiting it. I really could because you think about it, he made the prequel there and kind of surprise dropped it, and that kind of bridged the gap between a lot of the stuff that we didn't see with Richie and Mikey's character,
Mikey.
Bernthal, since he was already passed away in the first season. I really could see something like that. And yeah, I think I like that prequel episode. I liked that probably just as much as I liked some of the stuff here in the last season too. I don't know. It was all fantastic. Nitpicks here and there could have ended differently for some characters, but hell, I couldn't create anything this damn good.
Nope. Can't make something this beautiful, could we?
Nope.
We could just reenact it via audio messages.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to give the fifth and final season of The Bear, I'll give it a 4 out of 5 Sydney hair pieces.
Anyways, want to hear from all you wild, aspiring chefs out there. What did you like about The Bear? What didn't you like about it? What's your favorite season? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out these wild foodies on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and our website, cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news, and reviews.
It's been an absolute pleasure reviewing each and every season of The Bear with you, my friend. And, to say goodbye to this talented cast and crew and writers and, all the beautiful needle drop music that we heard on this and the whole vibe, I'd just like to say, yes, chef. Yes, one final time.
Heard, Chef.
So thank you guys so much for watching our review of the fifth and final season of The Bear. And we want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of the final season? Did it fall off in quality, or did you guys love the hell of it like we did? Let us know. We love you guys, and thank you guys for watching. And until the next Cinephellas TV review, I am Uncle Henry Bearzado.
And I'm Uncle Jeremy Allen White, signing out to the next TV review. Cheers!